Okay, hi everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm waiting for my buddy Jonathan. I'm not sure if he's gonna make it or what, but if he doesn't, that's fine. If he does, it's gonna be okay too. I am super happy you're all here. How you doing? Is this the, thanks, is this the first talk of the day, or have there been like 12 already?
1 second.
Second of the day. Oh, that's not great. Can you see that in the rafters? Like, is it bright enough? Should I be doing light mode or dark mode?
It's good.
Yeah? Okay, because I can do the light mode if you like. No? Okay. Okay, so look, my friends, my name is Josh. I work on the Spring team in my capacity as a Spring developer advocate. Oh, there's my name. Josh Long as a Spring developer advocate at Kotlin, Google developer expert, a Java champion, and most embarrassingly, and again, I'm not proud, but I am a YouTuber. Okay, so we all do things that we're not proud of. Here's mine. It's a small little channel that I run with my friend called my friends. I have two friends now, James Ward and Deshaun Carter, two legends in the ecosystem. They are now co-contributors to this little channel here, and it's going to be big. Okay, that's not the same as good. It's very important to remember that. Oh. All right. Thank you. So we're, join here, like and subscribe. What's the worst that could happen, huh? I mean, there's actually quite a bit of downside associated with wasting time. But anyway, moving on. Look, I'm very excited to talk to you today, and this is one of the few conferences where I can just let loose and focus entirely and freely and 100% wholly on the latest and greatest, because I can take for granted that you've all upgraded, right? Surely. That's true. And so I expect you to have upgraded. That's a prerequisite for coming into this talk. Truth be told, though, that's a prerequisite for any talk I do anywhere in the world. And the reason is because it's just important, right? We have one job: avoid CVEs, tend the garden that is our software, right? And you should be able to do that here with Open Rewrite and with modern and tools like that. That should give you the leg up, and that's really important, especially this year, because this year, friends, is the year where we release Spring Framework 7 and Spring Boot 4.0. That comes out later this year, November timeframe, and that's a whole new generational release. Okay, those versions of software are going to be big. Lots of new stuff, lots of cool stuff. So it's high time that you're upgraded. Oh, are there seats over here anywhere for our friends in the back there? There's two right in the middle, if you don't mind doing gymnastics over everybody. So there's all sorts of cool stuff, and you should be heeding deprecation warnings and all that, or not. Just wait for Open Rewrite to refactor it for you. I don't know, whatever. But I would do the thing where you're not surprised. That's the important bit. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm always struggling with what I could show you today. Obviously, we could look at the old Spring Pet Clinic. How many of you have seen the Spring Pet Clinic? This is a sample application from 20 odd years ago that has been updated many times hence. And look, it's even been updated as recently as 6 hours ago, right? But I don't want to show you all this. This is too much. It's too much. There's too many moving parts. So I thought, what if we focused on something in the same spirit as the Spring Pet Clinic, which is to say animals, dogs, cats, pets, that kind of thing. And instead kept it in that spirit, but focused on the latest and greatest, and just a few things, just a small, limited number of very small, granular set of features. I don't want to show everything. So I thought, well, why not? That's a great domain, right? The domain of dogs and cats and animals and pets. I mean, come on, who doesn't love animals, right? And pets and dogs and cats and the like. And I love animals. Okay, I love almost all animals. Okay, almost all of them. I love almost all dogs and cats and so on. And look, I love almost all of them except mine. Mine's terrible. The worst dog. He never learned how to dog. There was no doggy university for him, and he would have failed had he tried. He's not good. His name is Peanut. He's a terrible, terrible dog. And Peanut, look, I'll be honest with you. We only keep him for three very simple reasons. One is that all dogs, no matter how terrible, and he is terrible, deserve loving homes. Okay, that's just a fact. Even terrible dogs deserve love, and so that's a fact. That's number one. Number two, I'll just be real with y'all here, is in my home, my partner and my daughter, they both speak 5 languages. I speak 3.5. So if we didn't have that stupid dog, I would be the stupidest in the house. That will not stand, okay? That will not stand. And then finally, again, just being real with you all here, he is pretty stinking cute, right? Like, look at that dog. That's a cute dog. I know, so cute, but evil. Pure malevolence, okay? Pure malice, like a cancer for the soul. He's a tiny tyrant. He runs around the house just doing terrible things to people. He's the most abusive to those he loves. Right? Not a good dog. Not a good dog. Pure malice on the inside, cute on the outside. Very contradictory little guy. But I think about him a lot because he is very, I'm constantly fooled that, I could pet him this time. It's going to be fine. And it's never, ever fine. And he reminds me of another dog about which I learned during the pandemic named Prancer. This is Prancer. Prancer's owner was trying to find a new home. By the way, flashbang warning. Prancer's owner was trying to find a new home for this animal back in 2021. Do you remember all the crazy things we did during the pandemic? One of the things I did was watch the news as the news aired. Oh, here's the guy. Did you bring a laptop?
I brought a laptop.
Oh, okay. Guy, I want to see this because I want us to be on the same page here. He's going to do me a quick, 5-minute demo just because I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I know you're at the Modern conference, but have you seen Modern? Have you? Have you? Because I think this trick is it's never bad. So let me finish this off here, Jonathan, and then you come right in.
I'm going to test it in the background here.
Yeah.
You said you had commit rights to Spring repos, so.
Well, no, we're not doing that. We're not.
That's not what I heard.
No, we're not doing that. Do it on your machine, mister.
I will.
Oh, God. So here's this article from the owner of this dog named Prancer, who in 2021 put out this advert trying to rehouse this dog, and she continues, okay, I've tried for the last several months to post this dog for adoption and make him sound palatable. The problem is he's just not. There's not a very big market for neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dogs that look like gremlins, but I have to believe there's someone out there for Prancer because I'm tired, and so is my family. Every day we live in the grips of the demonic Chihuahua hellscape that he has created in our home. If you own a Chihuahua, you probably know what I'm talking about. He's literally the Chihuahua meme that describes him as being 50% hate and 50% tremble. She continues, he was quiet and just laid on the couch, didn't bother anyone. I was excited to see him come out of his shell and become a real dog. I am convinced at this point that he's not a real dog, but more like a vessel for a traumatized Victorian child that now haunts our home. And she continues, Exactly. What am I talking about, right?
What conference is this?
Trust me, you're in the wrong room. He's never been in the presence of a child, but I can already imagine the demonic noises and shaking fury that would erupt from his body if he were. Prancer wants to be your only child. She continues, you can't live in an apartment or a condo unless you want him to ankle bite your neighbors. We've already addressed the men and children situation. If you have people over, he'd have to be put away like he's a vacuum. I know finding someone who wants a Chucky doll in a dog's body is hard, but I have to try. And she signs off, he's only 2 years old and will probably live to be 21 through pure spite, right? So I think about this dog a lot, and admittedly, he is a very cute doggo. Look at that, that's so cute. I know, I'd pet that. Come on, that's a cute dog, right? But evil, right? And so I think about this dog a lot, and this ad went viral. So here is the coverage of Prancer in People magazine, right? Here in the, People magazine, Prancer, the demonic Chihuahua, new owner, he says he's helped her, blah, 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 okay? And here's USA Today, right? Demonic Chihuahua hellscape, meet Prancer, the puppy everyone wants after a brutally honest Facebook review. And then here's BuzzFeed. We caught up with Prancer, the viral nightmare Chihuahua. We found a story of redemption. And here's the New York Times, because of course. So Prancer, the demonic Chihuahua. Let me see. Does this do the thing? Go. Hurry up. There. Prancer, the demonic Chihuahua, finds a home, right? So again, this dog, I think about this dog. He lives rent-free in my head, 24/7. I've been thinking about this evil dog for so long. And actually, I met Jonathan's great dog, Charlie, and I think about that dog a lot too, because I have, this terrible dog lives in my head all the time, and it reminds me of my terrible dog. And then meanwhile, Jonathan over here, Mr. Lucky, he's got the nicest dog ever. It's just not fair. So what I was thinking is, we would build a system to support adopting dogs. Okay? Terrible dogs like Peanut and Prancer. That's our goal today. But first we need to be on the same page. So, Jonathan, you want to show us how it's done, my friend? I just want to be on the same, like, if we have working code, if we have a working baseline, especially this year, because what happens this year, Jonathan? Spring Framework 7, Spring Boot 4. So, okay, here. So we're going to go to start.spring. This is my second favorite place on the internet. Obviously, my first favorite place is production. It's always been production. I love production. You should love production. You should go as early and often as possible. Bring the kids, bring the family. The weather's amazing. It's the happiest place on earth. It's better than Disneyland. But if you haven't been there, you begin your journey here at start.spring.io. And we're going to build a new application to serve as our assistant, right? So we're going to build an assistant. No, actually, we're going to build an adoption service, right? And to do this, I'm going to use, let's say, GraalVM, right? I'll use Spring Modulith. I'm going to use a Postgres driver. I'm going to use an ORM technology like Spring Data JDBC. For years and years and years, for probably since before I even knew Jonathan, I used to say, I'm going to use JPA because I make terrible life decisions. I won't do that anymore. It's not even worth the punchline. Just, if you want code and you want it to be mapped to a database, there are plenty of better options than that, okay? So I'll use Spring Data JDBC, works just fine for me. I'm gonna bring in the Spring Boot actuator, I'm gonna bring in the web support, and I think, oh wait, no, I want dev tools as well. And I think I'm happy with that. I think I've got all the important bits there. You know, the nice thing is we can always come back and add to that, okay? And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna build a new application that is meant to help us adopt dogs, right? Let me delete all this, goodbye. Take 5, here we go. Actually, I'm gonna just do the thing where I make this really bright. So hold on, auto, ta-da. Okay, so UAO adoptions.zip. And look, I have given myself a bit of a like golf handicap, right? I am using Vim motions, okay? I'm trying to learn Vim motions. Who here knows Vim motions? Okay, I've been an Emacs person for decades, right? And so Vim has a set of key bindings that allow you to navigate text much more proficiently and much more quickly. That's the theory, okay? And if you subscribe to that Kool-Aid, if you drink that Kool-Aid, it is quite gratifying. But I'm not there yet. So right now I'm like hunting and pecking, and it's not great, okay? So we're gonna get through this today at glacial speeds, okay? Okay, so brand new application. I want to build a modular application. It's going to talk to a database. I've already got that database running. Let's just ensure as much here. This is a database full of dogs, right? And so I'm going to configure my connectivity. JDBC, by the way, here, put that font in the back there. How's that in the back, okay? JDBC, very good. Postgres, QL, localhost, my database, yeah? And I've got the username. So there's this. D is not, there you go. I'm already screwing it up. So watch this. If I do V, $D, nope, that didn't work at all. Oh, it's caps lock, that's why. V, $D, haha. Couldn't do that without 500, yes you could. Whatever. Okay, A, and then username is my user, and then we got this, password is secret, right? So there's my my connectivity bits, it's going to connect to a SQL database, and we're going to build an application that works in terms of that database, but I want to do so without actually, building a code base that doesn't scale, right? And I mean, runtime scalability is quite a different thing from what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the ability to scale the code base as a large team, right? So we're going to use Spring Modulith, which is a framework that's meant to keep you on the rails, so to speak, and help you write scalable, modular, clean code, okay? So I'm going to create a new package here called adoptions, okay? And in there, I'll create a dog adoption service. Now, or sorry, a controller even, okay? There's that. And first things first, get rid of the word public. Why is that word even there? That's remember, in Java, the default for a type is not public. It's only public in IntelliJ, but it doesn't need to be. I don't know why that's that way. I've lodged complaints. It should not, your type shouldn't be public by default. In fact, I encourage you to do quite the opposite. See if you can remove the word public from all your code first, and see where on the few occasions you still need to restore it, right? Your tech stack certainly doesn't care, right? Spring doesn't care if your types are public or not. Hibernate does because it's dumb, right? The rest of it is, it doesn't care, right? Types don't need to be public. So, I'm going to create a controller here, and it in turn is going to delegate to a dog adoption service, yeah? And this service is going to work with records of type dog. This is my entity, right? String name, string owner, string description. There we are. And I'm going to give it a persistent ID, all right? And I'm going to have a data access repository called dog repository, like so, list crud repository. And I'm going to manage entities of type dog whose primary key is of type integer. And so my service is here at transactional. And we're going to create a void adopt method, int dog ID, and then string owner, okay? So all we're gonna do is we're gonna, given the name of a dog, or sorry, the ID of a dog, we're going to update that dog's owner field. Now let's talk about that. Let's go look at the database schema here. If I go to my property file, click on this, click on test connection, hit apply, hit OK, go over, come on, go. Do the thing, run over here, right click, command click, public tables, tables, okay? So I've got this table here full of dogs, and there's our buddy Prancer. His ID is 45, his name is Prancer, and he's described as a demonic, neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dog that looks like a gremlin, okay? And to all of our surprise, he has no owner at the moment, okay? Our goal, should we succeed, should we accept it, is to adopt that doggo, okay? So we're gonna build this code, and we're gonna use a few features here. Let's see, did you know you can do this? Dog repository. I just typed in DOG and IntelliJ, and it automatically gave me the collaborating bean. Hit insert. Now I've already got that. Isn't that nice? That's not Vim. That's just awesome. Okay. So now updated, right, equals new dog. And it's going to be, I'm going to update the dog by overriding everything except for, or rather, propagating everything except for the new owner, right? So I'll use that new owner instead. And we'll say this dot repository dot save. Okay. And then that. Okay. So I'm just going to print it out, and maybe I'll announce it as well. So I adopted this dog here, updated, voila. Okay, there we go. Oh, please, Vim, do the thing. Okay, hold on. There we go. I did it. So awkward. Okay, so now let's go back to the controller, and we'll create another endpoint here. And this is just going to be a post dogs dog ID adoptions void adopt int dog ID string owner. So we're delegating, in a sense, to the service, and I'll just call that method passing in the underlying things, right? So this dot blah, and of course this should be a path variable, and this will be a request param, yeah? Okay, so let's try running this application just as such. Okay, go to the browser here, or not. That's just the saddest thing I've ever seen. What happened? No classes found in a com example adoptions. Sir? I don't know. Did I do something wrong? Let's see here. No classes. Two adoptions, yeah. Well, there's definitely a class. There's this one right here. New issue, maybe? What is going on here? Yeah, okay, just a compile time. I deleted the target directory. Everything's fine now. Why? I'll never know. Okay, moving on. Okay. Make that bigger. HTTP 8080 dogs /45 /adoptions, and then the owner will be J-long, right? And it's going to be a post, so I'll do a form post. Okay, there you go. So it says it's come back. If I go down here, it says it's adopted the dog. Fine, it's worked, and if we can confirm as much by going here, and there's our name, J-long. It's worked, but who cares, right? That's not real, right? You can't take possession of a live animal in most jurisdictions by updating one column and one table, one database somewhere. That's not a real thing. There's bureaucracy involved, as rightly there should be, right? There's a real animal on the line here. You got to be careful. You got to, for a start, you can imagine having to schedule a visit to the veterinarian, right? So we can imagine having a package here called vet, and then in there, a veterinarian is a doctor for the it's a dog tour. Okay, so we're gonna create that type. Okay, I'm going to call it @service, and you can imagine void, a public void checkup int dog ID, and then just scheduling checkup for, and then dog ID. Yeah, so I can imagine using that. Well, it's a service, so I'll do that. And I go over here to my controller, and down here when I've done all that hard work, you can imagine easily just injecting dog tour. Thusly, and calling that, and then going back here, and then rerunning the post. Take 5, okay? And by the way, I've got dev tool, so it just automatically reloads the code as I do this. And there you can see it says scheduling checkup for, and then adopted. Fine, it's better. I mean, I've achieved the technical requirement, but I don't know if I need this checkup call here, do I? This checkup call, it returns void. Clearly, I'm not dependent on that value to do my work. So why is it here, right? Why do I have it here? And is it actually a responsibility that I should be caring about here also? I don't know that it is. I think I might have unduly burdened this particular service with too much responsibility, right? So how do I back that out? One way we could do that is to use event-driven architectures, right? Messaging. And this reminds me of a great blog about which I learned a few decade ago, whatever, called, where is this? What do you mean by event-driven? This is by Martin Fowler. It was written in 2017, before the COVID pandemic, or BC. And this blog asks the question, what do you mean by event-driven? It talks about 4 different uses of event-driven architecture or messaging. The first of which is event notification, wherein one system communicates the fact of a change to another just by publishing the message. So, for example, if you use JavaScript, I'm sorry. It's a terrible language. You deserve better. But anyway, no, if you use JavaScript, and in the JavaScript world, in the browser, there's an onload event, okay? And the onload event gets called when the document loads. Which document? The one, right? There's only the one, asterisk, and unless you're talking about frames, right? You don't need any other details. You just need to know that the thing got called. That's enough for you to take actionable behavior, right? Beyond that, you don't need context. So there's no need for you to see a pointer attached to the event saying this is the document, because it's always going to just be the one. And a lot of times this is true. Maybe you've got a system where if something happens, you need to invalidate a cache and then rebuild the cache from whole cloth, brand new, right? Fine. Send the event, and then the fact of the event is enough to know what to do. You don't need to know what record in the cache changed. All of it needs to be rebuilt anyway. Right? So that's event notification. Very, very convenient, and it spares you from having to propagate redundant state across the wire, perhaps. Okay? Sometimes, however, you want that state. That's called event carried state transfer. In this scenario, data that you send from one module, one system, one component to another has context, actionable context that you can use to then move on. Okay? Great. Event carried state transfer. Again, now you're decoupled. The consumer doesn't need to know anything about the producer of the message, doesn't need to know the source system to query to get more data should it need it. Right? On the other hand, and this is not so big a deal in the age of distributed logs like Kafka, but it's a thing. On the other hand, you risk having redundant data being sent back and forth over the wire, right? Why propagate data over a message queue when I could just query the source system if I know about it? There's a cost-benefit ratio there, but I typically tend to prefer event carried state transfer over event notifications. Okay, fine. So what happens if all state deltas in the system? What happens if all translations, all transitions, all changes in the system are communicated through messaging, right? Every little one, customer added, customer deleted, customer updated, every little thing gets communicated through messaging. Well, that becomes very interesting, because if you think about a typical so-called monolithic system, right? A monolithic system is where you have one API. Even those will have multiple sort of moving parts, right? It's not unusual to have some component that monitors an Elasticsearch cluster and keeps that up to date in response to changes from the external world. Another one that monitors a fast, constant time lookup Redis cache for caching, right? These are all things that get maintained in addition to the Postgres instance that you're using, right? And in that monolithic system, even there you've got multiple events updating multiple data structures. So it's not really a monolith. It's not just one thing running, one process that handles your thing. So what is the true source of truth in the system? It's not Postgres. It's not Redis. It's not Elasticsearch. It's your message queue, right? Your message queue has the things with which I can reconstitute everything else. Okay? But that's not true for anything else in the system. So event sourcing is quite useful, and it's nice because now you have a log of every change in the system since the very beginning. Okay? What happens in that scenario where I just described? You've got a constant time read access Redis, you've got a full text search and Elasticsearch. These are different data structures optimized for different read and write modalities. I'm reading from Elastic, I'm reading from Redis, but I'm writing and updating in Postgres. Okay, this is a very common thing. You have different read and write modalities in your systems. Even trivial systems will have this discrepancy, and that's not unusual. In fact, the realization that that's true, that's not controversial at all. That's just called CQRS, Command Query Responsibility Segregation. It's the insight that your system has different read and write modalities, and you should not hide from those. You should embrace them and then optimize for them, because you can have data structures that are optimized for particular views, which are different from the things used for a transactional line of business store, okay? So all these are based on the humble message, the humble event. If you understand all of that, you should, even I can understand it, and I'm an idiot. If you understand all that, then congratulations, you're an architect. Collect your promotion at the door, okay? Moving on, it all starts with a humble event. So what I want to do is I want to decouple our dog tour from the dog adoption service, okay? So what I'm going to do is instead I'm going to create my first intentionally public type, okay? So this will be a dog adoption event, okay? And it's going to be a public event, and I'm going to make it a record because I care, okay? So record, and there we go. And I'll use, I'll use this. I'll say int dog ID, right? And by the way, I love Java records. Huge fan. Huge huge fan, big fan, right? Big fan, big deal. This is like so much nicer. How many of you using Java records? Okay, the rest of you, you're wrong. Just do the thing. Do the thing. We talked about this, okay? Now that I've got that event, I'm going to use, whoa, come back, I beg you. Oh, there we go, it's fine. All is forgiven. Okay, so we're going to say application event publisher dot publish event, new dog adoption event, publishing that in, okay? So now I can back out this introduction of the dog tour, okay? And get rid of that, goodbye to that. Go over the dog tour itself. Actually, wait, let me optimize my imports there. Go over to the dog tour itself, and here I can now back out that. No need for this, no need for that, okay? So I've got now a dog tour. I want this method to be invoked, but I don't need it to be invoked as a result of somebody invoking it. I just want it to be a listener for the event. So escape, go back over here, dog adoption event. There you go. So now it's an event listener. This is a Spring application context mechanism that's been in Spring for decades, right? Literally since 2004 or so. So I'm going to publish an event. Let's do this. Ready? Post. Okay, go back over here. You can see scheduling checkup for a dog adoption event and adopted. Now this is all very well and good. We've done a good job. We've decoupled one module from the other, one root package from the other. But are we truly decoupled? I mean, how do we know? I mean, one way to find out would be to introduce a little sleep, right? What if I did that? Feeling like it could work. Let's just try it out. Go over here, post. Uh-oh. I slept in the dog tour module, but I published the event in the dog adoption service, and for some reason these things are stuck waiting for one is waiting for the other. But I thought they're decoupled. I thought they're using event-driven architecture. They're decoupled. You said, Josh, that they're not, right? There's a problem here. The messages get dispatched in the same thread. That's not great from our perspective because we're trying to achieve temporal and locational decoupling. But it is the fact of the situation. We are coupled because it's in the same thread. It can be convenient, by the way. Imagine you're doing transactional stuff. You're in the same transaction. That could be what you want. Maybe you want things to be in the same thread, right? Makes it easy to assure that whatever you do in the dog tour also gets included in the transaction that was initiated over in the service. You could, and by the way, this is also marked as transactional. Right, so that's cool. It's nice, but I could try using Spring's @async, right? If I do that, it'll wrap the method in a thread and invoke it asynchronously, right? But now I've got a different problem, don't I? Right? This is what I used to call the MongoDB problem prior to 2017, right? Which is I could lose data, right? They fixed it in MongoDB, by the way. Whoever made jokes about that is cruel. That just wrong. Anyway, yeah, there's a risk of losing data, right? And MongoDB won't lose your data anymore. Just so we're on the same page. Anyway, there's a risk of losing data because it's in a separate thread. You could start the transaction over here. Somebody could pull the plug on the power, and the transaction will already have committed in the first thing, but not in the second. So you've got the system in an invalid state. Uh-oh. Right? So how do you get the best of both worlds? How do I have my asynchronous cake and eat it too? And the way you do that is by getting out of Vim mode. Okay, no, do that. And I'm going to use a feature from Spring Modular called Application Module Listener. Oh, and that's going to pair well with another feature here. Okay, $, enter. I'm awesome. Okay, Modular, there, yeah, okay, schema initialization. Okay, great. Modular, republish that string events on restart true. Okay, so what that's going to do is it's going to create a database table, and let's publish this event. It returns immediately, and you can see it's going to take 5 seconds for the other thing to register here. Great. Refresh that. Go down here, and now we've got this event publication table. Okay, this event publication table has a listing of all the events that have been published, the listener ID, the event type, the serialization event, the serialized event rather, the publication date, and the completion date. Very nice. So if I try it again, refresh, there's a null where my completion date should be, right? It's going to wait 5 seconds, and eventually, once that's finished processing, this will become non-null, okay? So let's try a third time, go, and now do the terrible thing where I stop this. Okay, so now I've got a problem, right? I've got this, I restarted the service, but there's still null when I control-C the process, right? So we'll wait for it. Okay, look, scheduling checkup 4. So it recovered the missed message, right? It replayed the missed message. I published the message, it never completed. I killed the process before it got through the 5 seconds. But there's a table that says, hey, this message was published but never completed. So it got replayed on startup, okay? This is very convenient. This is called the outbox pattern. The outbox pattern is the idea that if you have a transactional resource, you have a non-transactional resource, against which you'd like to reconcile some state, you use a transactional resource as a sort of ledger. So here, you can imagine talking to an FTP server or Amazon S3 or a REST API or something. You put an entry in the table, and as long as that table says it's not done, you keep retrying, right? Eventually consistent reconciled state. This outbox pattern is very, very convenient, and we're using that here for you, okay? And of course, you might wonder, well, do I have to wait until restart to reprocess or replay missed messages? No, surely not, right? You can create your own thing. So let's do that here. I can say class you incomplete me, okay? Implements application runner, and inject that. Oh, golly, no, it's all coming together. Okay, here we go. Try that again. They add the abstract thing above implement methods. And now for the last month or two, every time I hit Alt-Enter expecting it to implement the class, it makes it abstract instead. Okay, there you go. So there's that. And I'm going to make a component. Come on. Okay, and I'm going to inject ye old incomplete event publications. And I can inject that as the constructor. And down here, I'll say this.eventpublications.resubmit. Okay, resubmit a predicate. And I get a chance here now to look at the event and say event publication dot is completed. Give me the event, give me the completion date, the identifier, whatever, and you can do whatever you want to sort of determine whether to republish this event or not, right? You can do distributed load balancing. You can look at the UUID and do consistent hashing across different nodes in your cluster using Spring Cloud's discovery client. You could use Spring integrations, distributed locks support, right? We have a lock registry. I don't have it in the class path, but if I did, it looks kind of like that. You do try, acquire, lock name, and then the lambda, right? And there's a lambda in here. And inside that lock, no other node in the cluster will have that lock. And this is backed by various things like Redis, there's JDBC, there's MongoDB, different implementations, right? So there's a lot of different ways for you to approach this, but for now, every node that has that incomplete runner that I specified here will automatically rerun the outstanding events. Okay, very good. So now I've got a decoupled modular system. I'm using messaging. I got the outbox pattern. I think it's doing pretty good. But what happens if I want to publish this message to another system as well? Well, easily. You just go to the dog adopted event here, and I'm going to add externalized, right? And here, if you have to specify the module that you want to use, the functionality that you want to use. There's support for Kafka, for RabbitMQ, for Spring integration, which in turn talks to everything else in the sun, like Pulsar and FTP and TCP/IP and email and whatever. I mean, you can do whatever you want. So you can have a topic here in Kafka or a RabbitMQ exchange or Spring integration, message channel. I think there's Amazon SQS support as well. There's all sorts of stuff, okay? And if you add that to your code, it implicitly gets published to that external system as well, in addition to published from one module to another. So great, now we've got a modular decoupled system. How do I know if it's modular? How do I know that? Well, as with all things in life, you write a test. So I'm gonna go down here, var am equals application modules dot of, and this will be adoptions application dot class. Okay, and I'll say am.verify, and I can even print out the modules, and heck, I can even document the modules. Can you imagine documenting on stage? Craziness. Okay, here we go. Running that. Tests are green. Scroll down. Go down. You can see that it has an awareness of the logical structure of the modules, adoptions, logical name, base package, excluded types, the dependencies, and the vet package as well, the root modules, okay? This is fine. So it clearly knows how these things are arranged and whether they're modular or not, right? And if I go down here, I can look at the target directory, and I go to the Spring Modules docs folder, click on components.plantUML. This gives me a C4 architecture diagram that shows me the relationship of the modules in the code base. So now you can have, the status quo is you log into some wiki page and there's some architecture diagram from some well-intentioned architect from God knows when that is long since out of date. Well, that's no longer required. You can just upload this, right? And by the way, this is an image generated automatically from the C4 architecture diagram. This is PlantUML, so it's text code. It's very easy to version control and update and so on. It can change automatically as you make changes to the code base. So I think this is a much better awareness or arrangement, right? Now, it's modular. Code's good. I've got tests. It's green. What would be a thing that violates that? Well, obviously, you could have a nested type inside of adoptions that is clearly meant to be an implementation detail, a nested package inside of adoptions that's clearly meant to be an implementation detail for the adoptions module or package or root package or whatever. You can have that type and then use it inadvertently from the vet module, right? If you did that, that'd be a violation of the sort of arrangement that we're trying to encourage here, right? Again, it's not about leaking public types. It's about leaking public types beyond their logical scope. In this case, the root package, which is adoptions, right? You should be very deliberate about when you make things public. If you have a root type in adoptions that is public and you share that, that's fine. It's the idea that you have another package below adoptions, and then in that you have a public type that you use from vet, okay? So this will bark at you and make sure that you clean up your code so that you get back in the right lane, right? The goal here is to reduce the blast radius of change, okay? This is not a technical discussion, it's a social political one. Remember, organizations are the reason software fails, right? It's not the software's fault, it's people. And this is not new, right? Mel Conway had this insight in the 1970s. He said that software is a mirror image of the organizations that build it, right? If you have dysfunction in your organization, that'll be reflected in the software. If you want to fix the dysfunction in the software, fix the organization, right? That's the corollary, right? It's called the reverse Conway maneuver, right? And this is the whole forcing function behind microservices. Microservices was not about DRY, do not repeat yourself. It wasn't about modularity and technical this, that, and the rest. It's about getting teams right-sized for features, and then letting them focus on that in their own swim lanes. That ability to write code, and then as long as you've agreed upon a sort of a component boundary that everybody else in the organization agrees on, as long as you've done that, you can stay in your own swim lane and move as quickly and with as much agility and adroitness as you need, okay? And this is the same idea here. We're using visibility modifiers in the language to ensure peace in the office. It's a very, very simple thing, right? This is not a technical discussion. Modularity is not about clean code, it's about clean organizations. That's very important. The more autonomy and the more ability you have to move forward without having to have lots and lots of different meetings, synchronizing with every other team in the organization, whenever you make any refactoring, that allows you as an organization to go faster and to get to market faster. It's a very, very simple direct correlation there, okay? So, Spring Modular, good stuff, okay? Now, we've got this, but how did we find this, right? And by the way, I rail against using public. Before I move on, I rail against using the word public. It's not that it's always bad. It's just that when it's used indiscriminately for no reason, that's the problem, right? Don't use public all the time, right? I talk about this all the time. Don't use public by default. It's not the language default, right? The language default, the minimum viable class is class space whatever curly bracket curly bracket. You don't need the word public there at all. You could go whole chapters in your introductory to Java programming language book before you learn the visibility modifiers. They're not required, right? You can write really interesting systems. If you make everything public by default, you're sort of defeating Java. Java is an object-oriented language. We have information hiding, right? The whole point there is to hide information. That's an advantage, not a thing to be worked around, right? If you're going to make everything public in a flat global namespace, just use C. It's more honest, you know? Don't do this to Java. It didn't do anything to you, okay? Now, how did we find this dog, right? How did we find this dog? We found this dog because I saw him on the news. He went viral. He was in the New York Times, for Pete's sake. But that's not how most people find the dogs of their dreams or nightmares, right? What they do is they go to a shelter and they interview and they ask questions about the dogs in the shelter. So let's build that assistant, okay? So we're going to build an assistant, and of course, to do that, we're going to use a little AI. I'm going to bring Spring AI in here. We're going to use the GraalVM native support. We're bringing the web support. We're going to use PG Vector, which is we're going to use the Postgres vector extension as a vector store. That said, there are a gazillion different vector stores that you might consider as alternatives, and they're all well supported here. We're going to use the web support. I think I already have that. Yeah, got that. OpenAI feels like that. Oh, maybe data JDBC, right? Okay, and actuator, surely. Good. So we're going to build an assistant. Again, we're using Spring AI. Spring AI goes GA on the 20th of May. Okay, that's 8 days. No, 6 days from now. Time is just flying by. Okay, so go over here to the downloads directory, and we're going to assistant. And by the way, see that little script I was using, UAO? That's a Java script, okay? What I mean by that is I have an alias in my shell. Sorry, Josh, env, bin, unzip, and open.java, okay? I just run this script. This is using this feature to notice I don't have a class here, right? It's like me, classless. This file has no class definition. It's an implicit class. That'll be a GA feature. I won't even need this anymore, right? The way you can run this Java script is to say Java space unzip and open.java. That's it. There's no compiled.class file, and there's no class, right? This is valid Java as of Java 25. It's already working as a preview feature for the last 2 years. So you can try this out right now, okay? Anyway, assistant. Let's do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to build an assistant to help people answer questions about would-be dogs in the shelter, right? So I'll create a controller here, a REST controller, class adopt assistant controller, and we'll say, let's just do a get, whatever. Okay, dogs. No, you know what? We'll do this. We'll do user ID and then assistant. Okay, string inquire, so we can make inquiries with respect to the dogs in the shelter, answering questions, and of course we've got a path variable there. So let's care for that here. User, good. There we go. So there's that. This is going to be talking to an AI model. There's dozens of different AI models out there, right? And Spring AI supports basically all of them. I don't know one that it doesn't support, but you might cook up one right now in between my next demo, and then it wouldn't support that, and then I'd be wrong. But otherwise, it does. Okay, and you need to specify a key. So I've already done that here, but just bear that in mind. Also, I'm connecting to a SQL database, so I'm going to copy and paste all of that, or not. Vim, don't do it. Nope. Down. No. Whatever. I'm going for Vim bankruptcy here. Okay, hold on. Nope. No, come on. Yes. I got there in the end. So you need to specify an API key. Look, I've already done this, my friends. I've already, off screen, before we got on stage, I already went and I exported this environment variable like that. And if you do that, then you can, you'll be fine. You'll have this API key, okay? There you go. So I've already done that. I'm not gonna, forgive me for not leaking my API credential, okay? Just trust me, it's been done. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to inject the Spring AI chat client, okay? The Spring AI chat client is your one-stop shop for all your AI interactions for the chat model. There are other models. There's image models, transcription models, etc. But here's the one for chat, okay? And I believe the chat client is super-duper well-written code. I believe that the people that work on it are super, super smart. And it's going to work just fine for you, okay? Now, let's see here. We got this. We go here, return this.ai.prompt.user, passing in the question asked by the user. Gonna get a call and get the content as a string, and then return it thusly. Okay. So let's go ahead and start that up. Let's see what that buys us. Yeah. And there's some dependencies. Port 8081, right? Okay. Port 8081. Here we go. There's some other dependencies I think I wanted to have on the class path, which I'll bring over here right now, lest I forget. Okay. pom.xml. We'll get these added to the initializer at some point here soon. So I'm adding a chat model, chat memory, and a vector store advisor, and we'll talk about all that stuff in due course here. But okay, so the application's up and running. Let's give it a go here. Okay, we say HTTP 8081 JLong assistant question equals my name is Josh. That's not really a question, but whatever. Okay, make it wiggle. Does it work? Yes, good. Okay, let's see how this goes. What's my name? I don't have access to personal data about individuals unless it's been shared with me. So it's already forgotten. It's already that's just, I have that effect on people. That's very, very sad. Very sad. Okay, so I need to give this thing memory. Remember, by default, your AI models have no memory. They're amnesiacs, right? They're like Dory, the goldfish from Finding Nemo, yeah? So you have to give them memory by propagating a transcript that gets resubmitted on every subsequent request, okay? When you use ChatGPT in the browser, of course, they're doing that for you. But when you talk to it via the API, it doesn't do that. So what I need to do is to give it memory. And what I'm going to do here today, because they just, remember, RC1 for Spring AI, which is going to go GA when?
6 days.
6 days, which is 20th, exactly. There, 14 plus 6. Well done, class. You can stay. You can stay afterwards and dust the chalkboard. So, so that's going GA. It's the RC one that just dropped yesterday, and there's a new feature in there. I'm going to try and use it here. It's not going to be great. Okay, just hold your nose and let me puzzle through it here. I've done it once. It'll be fine, I'm sure. But we're going to use the JDBC. I want to give it memory. Usually, when I do this demo, I show you how to use the in-memory memory, the RAM-based memory, right? Which is fine, but it's a pluggable SPI, and I figured there's a new implementation based on JDBC, okay? So now that I've added those things to the class path, I'm going to have it go over here, over there. I'll say memory, JDBC initialize schema always, thank you, okay? That's fine. And then I'm going to configure what's called an advisor. Advisors are filters that pre and post process requests bound for the model. So they get run before your request gets sent off and after the response comes back, and they get a chance to, layer extra capabilities into that request in a declarative way. So you can centralize your LLM-oriented concerns there, okay? So there's one model one advisor that's quite useful, one which captures a context for every single user. So we're going to say prompt chat memory advisor, okay? And we'll create a new bean like this. One prompt, is it prompt chat memory advisor.builder.build? This in turn takes a chat memory implementation, and here is where things get weird. So it's going to be a chat window, whatever, chat message, no, message window. Yeah, there you go. That looks better. Message window chat memory dot builder dot chat memory repository. So close. Okay, there. And then the repository itself, that's where the JDBC thing comes in. That is the JDBC chat memory repository dot builder dot JDBC template. That takes this, and I need let's just create a JDBC template. Okay, new JDBC template. Okay, and that in turn takes a data source. Okay, oh, so close. Here we go. JDBC, nope, temple dot, and then we say build, and we also need to specify the dialect if memory serves. Get it, memory? Dialect, JDBC, dialect from data source. Okay, so we pass that in, and then pass that in there, and then pass in that over here, and there, easy. Anyway, we need to also give it some context. How is the model to know to which user this particular conversation is ascribed, right? Well, we pass that in the call to advisor. We say advisor, and then we pass in that we use the DSL, and then we pass in a param, and it's a chat memory conversation ID, and the conversation ID in this case will be the path variable user that we're drawing from the context, okay? So go over here, and okay, what's my name? Oh, we don't know. It's not going to know anything. My name is Josh. Fine. What's my name? Oh, I didn't configure the advisor. I blame you. Let me see here. Here, this is my fault. This one. Here we go. Advisor. There. And I'm going to inject the old question and answer advisor. No, not that one. I'm going to inject the prompt chat memory advisor. Okay. Oh, that's so sad. There we go. Okay, so we try this one more time, this time with more gusto. Ready? My name is Josh. Great. What's my name? Hey, what? So sad. What's going on here? Wait. So surely that's the one I just built here. Right? Isn't that, did the table get built? Why is the code still changing? What does that mean? Oh, it's applying a hot swap. Oh, there's some dev tool shenanigans. Let's just always delete target. It's always target, right? Can we let's connect to this first. Let's just, I don't know. Apply, hit OK, restart, reload, tables, Spring IA chat memory. It's even got that. How does it not know? Okay, so let's delete all that. Okay, take 5. This time with more gusto. Here we go. Restart. Okay. My name is Josh. What's my name? Yeah. Now we're cooking. There you go. So there you go. Okay. Oh, it's fine. I'm good. Okay, so we've got now memory there, right? We've given the model the ability to remember just who and what it is doing, with whom and what it is doing. How do you do that with the right prepositions? With whom it is doing what? Is that, I don't know, English. So, okay. Anyway, we've got that, right? And that's fine. But it's still, basically, I've just given people a pipeline directly to my AI bill, right? My model. They can ask it, they can do their homework with this now, right? That's not what I want. The mission here is to help people adopt the best dogs. So we need to put this thing on track, and the way you do that is by giving it a system prompt. I happen to have a system prompt here, right? I'm going to cat that system prompt and paste it into the, you know what? That's wrong. No, it's wrong. Dog. Much better, okay? So we're going to do that, copy and paste this to the buffer, and we'll put that over here, and we'll say var system equals, there's that, and it says you are an AI-powered assistant to help people adopt a dog from the dog adoption agency named Pooch Palace with locations in Antwerp, Seoul, Tokyo, Singapore, Antwerp. So sorry. Awkward. Miami. Okay. Wait, we're not even in. Where are we? Hollywood? Hollywood. Is that Hollywood? Where are we?
Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was starting to doubt myself. Okay. So now, with that system prompt, if we ask it a question on task, right, on track, we'll say, do you have any neurotic dogs? Okay. I'm sorry, but I don't have any specific information about the neurotic dogs available for adoption at Pooch Palace. So it knows what it's meant to do. It just can't help us, okay? Because it doesn't have any idea about the data. Well, we know where the data is. It's in our database. This is why, by the way, we are, as Java and Spring developers, in a uniquely amazing position right now, in this moment in time around AI. Remember, 90% of the business organization has software deployed in Java and Spring, and that code, that logic, is guarding the business logic that runs your businesses, and it's guarding the data that feeds those services. That's where you want to hang these AI integrations off, right? That's the place for that stuff to exist. They're not going to, this is not, you might use Python to train your model, but 99% of AI today is integration with existing infrastructure and data. We are in a uniquely amazing position here to deliver production-worthy, scalable, secure, type-safe, for a start, AI integrations and systems. So we have the data here. It's in our dogs table. I need to get access to that dog data, so I'm going to go over here, go back to the thing. I'm going to do something terrible, something that you should never ever do ever, not even when you're all by yourself at home and no one is looking. I am going to copy and paste code. So I'll go back over here, paste that there. Okay, go back, paste. There we go. So I've got my entity there, and I'm going to, as this application starts up in the constructor, I'll inject the repository, and my job then is to take the data from the repository and then write it out to the vector store. And again, they both happen to be Postgres in this case, but that's not always the case, right? So you need to synchronize one with the other by writing to it. So I'm going to create a Spring AI document, right, like so. And it's just, you put arbitrary strings in there. It doesn't matter all that much what data you put in there so long as it's consistent from one write to another. And that you use the same exact embedding service for all the writes, okay? Behind the scenes, we're using an embedding model that's provided by OpenAI, right? And that's fine, again, as long as you're doing it for every single record. So I'm going to say vectorstore.add list.of document, okay? Now, obviously, this is okay, but this is a... Oh, they changed it. I'm using Vim motions again, so how do I... It's function shift F6? Yes, okay. Dogument. Okay, that's better, okay? Now, my model, my tech client, doesn't know about this new vector store. It doesn't know to consult that, so I'll add a new question answer vector store, passing in vector store, okay? And then restart. And now we go here. It's going to fail because it's re-embedding, or it's creating embeddings for all the data. Oh, it's going to try, but it failed because I forgot to give it this. I forgot to say PG vector initialize schema is true. Okay, and when it starts up, it's going to fail. That's okay. Give it a second here. It's not going to fail. It's going to take a little while because it's talking to OpenAI's embedding model and getting embeddings, right? So you can see there we're in row 9 of 15. There's 18. Now it's done. Okay, so just to be sure that we don't have to wait for that whole thing to happen each time, I'll block that out in a sort of code, path comment. Okay, do you have any neurotic dogs? Yes, we do have a neurotic dog available for adoption. Meet Prancer. Prancer is a demonic neurotic dog who tends to be man-hating and minimal and whatever. Okay, if you're interested in learning about Prancer or the dogs, feel free. Boy, am I. I mean, come on, who wouldn't be, right? This is the dog. This is the one. So then any red-blooded human being at this point would want to take this opportunity to adopt this dog. So we need to loop the model into our patent-pending, world-class leading dog adoption scheduling algorithm, okay? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go over here, and we're going to build a tool, a service, to help facilitate scheduling pickups and so on for these doggos, okay? So we're going to say dog adoption service, or dog scheduling, schedule service, okay, and we're going to say string schedule given the dog ID and the string dog name, and we're going to return just an instant that is the current time plus 3 days, all right, like that. So toString, voila, and I'll print out system out scheduling that dog, that time, whatever, okay, and then we're going to export this as a tool to the model. So schedule an appointment to pick up or adopt a dog from a Pooch Palace location, okay? And you can use multi-line strings or just do that. It's not great, but whatever. So tool param, the ID of the dog. And remember, the schema here is the human language in which the code is written, right? So the name of the dog. Isn't that convenient? Like, Mom always told us to use our words when we were upset. It's also true for programming now, right? Use your words, you'll get better results. So I'm going to tell the model about this scheduler, this tool that it's got in its toolbox by just injecting a pointer to that thing there. I'll say this, and then that, and I'll go down here, and I'm going to give it access. I'll say tools, scheduler, and restart, okay? Okay, so now we'll go back over here. Do you have any neurotic dogs? First things first. I got Prancer. Okay, next question. Fantastic. When can I schedule an appointment to pick up Prancer from the Hollywood location? Okay, come on. Mind you, it's the 14th today, so I would have taken the 17th as a proper answer. You can confirm it got called by seeing that it's printed that out there. So the model knew to invoke that functionality to answer a question that it couldn't otherwise answer, right? So you can connect your models with your business logic and your data via this, what I just showed you with that memory and the question answer advisor. That's RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. The idea is that you're using data to inform the responses from the model. And here we give it access to a tool that's called tool calling, okay? And you can see now that chat box is becoming the new user interface for my program and my business logic. Okay. Now this is very nice. I'm using tool calling locally, right? This is all in the same JVM. I've got this convenient scheduler thingy on my local JVM. But what if there's other languages? I've heard tell that other people write code. I've never seen it. It's not a thing I believe, but in theory, it's possible somebody wrote some code not using the JVM, right? Can you imagine? Anyway, I want to be able to reuse that logic. So what I'll do is I'll go back to the lab again, and I'm going to extract out that functionality into an MCP service. Now, MCP is a protocol created by Anthropic back in November. Anybody here remember November? Yeah, me either. Yeah, it's been too long. So I'm going to use the GraalVM native image support. I'm going to create the scheduler. I'm going to give this model context protocol server, and I'll say unzip and open. And I'm going to make this a model context protocol server. This is a protocol created by Anthropic, the company behind Cloud Desktop, which allows LLMs to talk to other tools over the network. And you can implement that protocol in any language you like. There has been a Cambrian explosion of MCP implementations. There are literally tens of thousands of different MCP services out there already that you can take advantage of. Every major cloud platform has already announced MCP integrations for their platform, so you can now go to Amazon, Google, GitHub, Heroku, everything basically, and control their platform via MCP, right? You can give your model access to these MCP services, which can deploy, interrogate, ask the questions of, etc. We have a Spring Batch MCP service that you can use to ask questions about the state of a running Spring Batch job, okay? So we like that protocol. We on the Spring AI team love that protocol. And when it was announced back in, did I say November? Yeah, back in November, we were among the very first to implement that protocol. And we did so early, in fact, that our implementation, our Java binding, was the very first one to become the official Java SDK for Model Context Protocol.io, this movement and specification launched by Anthropic, okay? So if you're using the Java SDK, that's ours. And we then rebased our Spring AI integration on top of the official Model Context Protocol jars, which are, again, are our code, okay? So port 8082. And so you can there's two kinds of MCP services. There's standard in, standard out, and there's streaming HTTP. Right now we're doing the streaming HTTP variety. So now if we go back to the scheduler here, the assistant, you can see we've got a dog adoption scheduler thingy shaped hole in our code base. It doesn't know that we've moved it out to a separate microservice. So we're going to create an MCP sync client, and in order to do that, I need to add the MCP support to the client here. We'll add MCP client. I'm going to just copy and paste that one definition because I failed to add it to the project that we created earlier. Oh, of all the times for the initial. Okay, here we go. Network is down. Say that ain't so. Okay. MCP client, control space, scroll down. Just going to copy and paste that client there to my assistant, right? Paste. There you go. Command Shift I. And now we go here. We're going to say at bean MCP sync client. Client. Okay. MCP client dot sync. Okay, come on. Just you can. I know you want to like do the thing. There. Ah. Okay. So this will be mouse in HTTP. What is this? HTTP SSE. No, is it SSE? It's taking a MCP client transport. So what is that? MCP client transport. And we're going to do the SSE one, right? So it's this one, HTTP client SSE transport. Go over here, paste that in there. Dot builder HTTP. We said localhost 8082, right? Dot build. And there we go. That's this. And we're going to build that as well. Okay. And then we're going to do var MCP. Okay. MCP.initialize. And return MCP. Okay. So there's the upgraded integration. Now let's just take that dependency there, add that to this in lieu of the scheduler. Get rid of that. Okay. We'll go down here. New. Okay. New sync. MCP sync client. Whatever. What is going on here? What did I call it? Client. There we go. So now we restart this assistant, and we now have a client and a service talking over this protocol. Okay. We do the same thing as we did before. So do you have any neurotic dogs? Oh, whoops. Did it fail to start up? No tool sync. Oh, tool objects. Sorry, callbacks. Callbacks. Okay. Do you have any neurotic dogs? Okay. Now, can we schedule it? May 17th. Here's the assistant. Here's the new scheduler module. Oh, it cheated. You know why it cheated? Here, hold on. Don't worry. It's looking. It's too smart. We've given it sentience. Delete this. It's got the transcript. It's cheating. It's like, yes, I know there's a date. Okay. Do you have any neurotic dogs? Okay. Fantastic. May 17th, right? Okay, now we go back to the scheduler. There it is. It got scheduled. So the model reached out over the network and talked to another service. It's fine. Don't be scared. Okay? This is an amazing opportunity, my friends. This is an amazing opportunity. Now, before we run away here, I want to highlight a couple things. We have an application that is observable, that's fast. You can add security. You should always take advantage of virtual threads. How many of you know about virtual threads? Non-blocking I/O, free scale. If you're doing, remember, each call to that OpenAI endpoint is a blocking I/O call. This is free scale. This makes that guilt-free. I can't believe it's not reactive, says Fabio. Okay, so there's this. And then, of course, you want to turn this into a GraalVM native image, right? I love GraalVM native images. Let me see if I made the right thing. Yeah, I did. So how many of you have heard of GraalVM native images? I love GraalVM native images. The only problem is they take a little while to compile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, I've been complaining about this. We'll talk about this in a second, but I've been complaining about this for a long time because the compilations just take forever and I get really bored really easily. So I went to Oracle years ago and I said, please play elevator music during the native image compilation process, right? I says, I already hear elevator music in my head when I do these long-running compilations. I'd just like everybody else to hear it too. And I got some great responses, including this one from Dr. Fabio Niephaus, who's a doctor on the GraalVM team and a researcher at Oracle Labs. And he says, thanks for the feature request, Josh. The problem is that it would just fix the symptoms. He says, I've prototyped a Josh long mode, okay? So that's what this was right here. Okay, there we go. So you basically use -- Josh long mode, like that, native image Josh Long mode, and it would play music, and it would say music brought to you by Josh Long, and then it would print out a picture of me in my spring shirt. That's me right there, an ASCII art in living color. So I think that would be a great feature, but it hasn't yet been merged, and I'll wait. But in the meantime, friend of the community, Richard Fichtner, fixed it, right? So he went out and built this amazing plugin. Richard Fichtner, he says, very useful for GraalVM builds, as Josh can attest. You go to the GitHub project for this, and you can see this was let's see, whatever, yeah, it was inspired by this GraalVM issue from Josh Long, right? So this plugin is arguably the single most important piece of software you're going to add to your code after everything I've showed you today, right? So let's add this one very important plugin, paste that in, okay? And 1.0. And by the way, I was just talking to my friend Mohammed yesterday, who works at Spotify, and he was teasing that he could maybe get an integration with Spotify going. So that'd be even better. So now let's go ahead and compile this scheduler application, okay? Maven skip tests -p native :compile. Yeah, we're just gonna let that compile a quick application. I love this next part. Now apparently if you're using Eclipse, you can use the Maven wrapper and it'll continuously recompile, so you can't get this thing to stop, which actually I imagine can be a little annoying. You'll hear little noises coming from some machine in the cloud somewhere. That makes me so happy to imagine. Okay, so anyway, target, here's that, and I'm gonna run the scheduler. The port's already in use. Hold on, easy fix. Don't freak out. It's all good. Okay. Scheduler, there we go. There's the application up in 45 milliseconds, right? Not seconds, 45 milliseconds, right? And more importantly, here's the process identifier. Measure the RAM, PS-O RSS, that's resident set size. It's measured in kilobytes, so divide by 1,000 to get megabytes, okay? So 67 megs, not gigs or 650 megs or whatever. 67 megs of RAM, right? For reference, go to Google Chrome and launch anything ever. Just anything. Like CNN.com, just load one tab, right? I'm gonna load Chrome here. If the lights flicker, you'll know what happened. Okay. Yeah, it's just PS, right? So let's see, I'm gonna load any tab. Who cares about the news itself? I'm just saying, it's still loading, by the way. This is a JavaScript app. Still not loaded. Still loading. Still, tell me that the Java is slow again. This is not here yet. It hasn't finished loading, okay? Loading. God, it's terrible. What a nightmare world. Okay, hold on. Almost there. No, we're not. I'm just kidding. Hold on. Come on. I'm desperate for a loaded page. Okay? Stop torrenting. Who's ever using the internet? So it hasn't even loaded yet. My point is, and when it does load, it'll be, I'll bet you, how much do you want to bet? It's up close to a gig of RAM. One tab. I'm not talking about the browser, just a stupid tab. Right? What's it doing? Just hurry up. Well, that's not okay. I didn't ask for that to be slow. I sent them a memo. I said I needed to be fast. Well, whatever. Okay, is there something else? What's another website that's New York Times? I don't know. .com. There. Please be faster. Is it just continuously loading? This is why I use Safari. Oh, look. 805 megs of RAM. 805 megs for a single tab in the browser. I can run a production-ready, AI-ready service that's scalable. It has non-blocking I/O that starts up in milliseconds, not minutes, like these JavaScript apps. I can run that on the JVM in no time, right? We live in an amazing time, my friends. An amazing time. Use Open Rewrite and Modern to get yourself up to the baseline today, and then from there, the sky is the limit, okay? The sky is the limit. You can do anything. There's never been a better time to be a Java and Spring developer, and I now have 2 terrible dogs. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you.